up, everybody? Welcome to Horror Reviews. Let's talk about 5 underrated horror films that are streaming on HBO Max right now. And as I said in my Paramount Plus video that I did, the pickings are slim on some of these streaming platforms. So sometimes it's nice to know what films are streaming right now that are actually pretty good that I can go see that maybe I haven't seen. But these are not going to be like crazy hidden gems, obscure films you've never heard of before. These are just 5 picks, in my opinion, that are underrated horror films that either people have forgotten about or don't get as much attention as I believe that they deserve. And these are all streaming on HBO Max right now in the United States as of June 17, 2024. Let's kick things off with number 5 on the list, which is from my man James Wan, and it is Malignant. Now, this film just deserves more love. This movie came to theaters, everyone was talking about the twist, and then you had just polar opposite reactions. Some people loved the film, some people hated the film, and I think a lot of people just really misunderstand the film. And the twist, everyone talking about this twist, the twist, as if there's no movie leading up to the twist. And that's why it's on this list, because Malignant deserves to be visited or revisited if you've never seen it, or if you've seen it, to see it again, and watch it for more than just the twist. This is a really fun film. It's got a lot of style. It's clearly a different type of movie for James Wan. This is a fun as hell movie. Now, yes, this has a great twist, but don't watch the whole film just trying to predict the twist, because then you're not going to enjoy it. Watch it for what it is, a very stylized horror thriller that is a lot of callbacks to many different types of films, including like giallo type films and other slashers of past and other mystery horror thrillers of past. And James Wan trying to craft a unique story that shows some of the things that he loves and incorporate them into a fun film. Now, again, I really emphasize the fact that this film is fun. I think people misunderstand the tone of this film, in my opinion. It's not campy. It's not supposed to be like comedy. It's supposed to be like, again, fun, I feel like is the best word for this. It's not supposed to be taken so straight-faced and so seriously, but it's also not supposed to be like cheesy or campy. It's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, aware of itself, knows what it's doing, taking you on this ride and this journey. And the lighting in this film is just fantastic. The camera work is amazing. Oh my gosh, some of the chase sequences where the overhead shots, the house, sequence in the hotel room with the light flashing on the face, and just like, oh, so many stylistic elements that just ooze this like love for cinema and films. And again, there's just so much energy and so much like passion in this film that I feel like, again, if you watch it for just like, if you watch it too straight and you watch it and you expect it to be a comedy, or you watch it just for the twist, it doesn't work. You really have to go on this experience of this film. The music is so good and does such a great job serving each element of the story. Also, of course, the practical effects work in here. It looks like CGI. And of course, while there are digital effects and things here, there are a lot of practical things being done that look digital. So walking backwards, the way things that the actor did to really sell this character and the things that are happening in this film should be watched and appreciated. Don't just write it off like it's just CGI. There is a lot of work being put into this film to make those elements come together. I absolutely love the poster for Malignant. It's just one of my all-time favorite horror movie posters. And I love the title. The title is just so perfect. Again, I think that maybe upon first viewing, you may not get this film because you really are expecting something so different from James Wan. And then you go in and you're like, what on earth did I walk into? So if you saw this in theaters and it didn't land with you, I urge you to revisit this with a different lens. Don't take it so seriously and just try to enjoy the ride and give it another viewing. If you've never seen Malignant and you heard about some people saying it was terrible or whatever, etc., go in, check it out. Again, don't think of this film as some serious like mystery thriller leading up to this like shock ending. Yeah, it has a cool ending, but don't watch it like that because you're not going to enjoy it. It's not just a movie leading up to an ending that's a payoff. It's a fun journey to get there with a lot of other horror elements and love thrown in there. And this is clearly a passion project for James Wan. So Again, give it another chance if you've seen it, you didn't like it, or if you haven't seen it, check it out. Coming in at number 4 is The Black Coat's Daughter, and this is directed by Oz Perkins. He has another film coming out into theaters that is highly anticipated called Long Legs. Now, this is Anthony Perkins' son. I had no idea he was even a director when I saw this film, but this is about two girls who get left in a boarding school over winter break, and they have to, the IMDb says, battle an evil force. I don't know if I would necessarily describe it as that, but I guess that's what it is. This one is definitely about atmosphere and tone. It's very slowly paced. Now, I didn't love this film when I first saw it, and I still don't absolutely love it, but I think that what it lacks in certain elements, it really makes up for in atmosphere and tone. This has got Emma Roberts in it, and she plays a character who's they're kind of cutting back and forth to, and I'm not going to give spoilers away here, but I do like where the story goes in this. It's a really interesting twist. The only real negative I have is the ending. I think it doesn't totally come together, but this takes place over winter break, so there's snow, boarding school. When you give me a horror movie with an empty boarding school, I love it. I'm signed up. I love the concept of people staying over breaks and something being out to get them, slasher movie, whatever it is. I love the empty building concept, the vacant places, the abandonment, no one around to help you. Combine that with winter and snow, and you've got a great atmospheric setting for a horror film. This one goes in some really different directions and some dark places. I like, again, the story elements and what unfolds here, the little mystery that we've got going on. As I said, I just don't like certain aspects of the story, and the ending don't totally work for me, but definitely worth checking out. Remember, this is a slow burn. It starts off slow, it ends slow. And if you're out for that and you want like an atmospheric, sort of lower budget, but unsettling horror film, if you've never seen Black Coat's Daughter, check it out. It's a good time. Now, coming in number 3 is the 2005 remake of the Amityville Horror. And this is another one of those films that I make the argument that I swear if this film came out today as a remake, everyone would love it. But because it came out in 2005, when people were hating on remakes and you really had to stand out, a lot of people pooped on it, and it was one of those Platinum Dune remakes with when they were just churning them out. So I think people looked down on it. Now, the original Amityville Horror has never been one of my favorite films, so that may play a part in this, but I love Ryan Reynolds in this film. I love what he does in this character. I think it's a great remake. There are definitely elements that don't work entirely, but the tone, the atmosphere, the dark atmosphere works really well for me in this. I like to see Ryan Reynolds losing his mind and going crazy. I love the rain sequence towards the end. I love the boathouse part. I really like a lot of the elements in this film. Now, again, there are pieces that don't entirely work, and I know Michael Bay's name is attached to this, so people want to write it off, but like I said, I make the argument that I swear if this movie came out now, people would be like, yeah, that was pretty solid. I actually enjoyed it way more than I thought it would. But because it came out in 2005, it's another one of those people like just forgot about it or just ignored it. And like we had the bar so high, we've raised it so low now that I feel like you check it out right now, you might enjoy it a lot more than you think that you would have if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it since 2005, maybe go give it another watch. Again, stand out to me, Ryan Reynolds in a horror film. I think he does great. I also really like Melissa George in this film. I think she's great. And the kids work also. The kids make or break a film like this sometimes. And I think they do great. And coming in at number 2 is the 1962 film Carnival of Souls. And if you've never checked out this classic horror film, you absolutely should check it out. I feel like this one doesn't get talked about very much when you talk about classic horror films. And man, talk about just like uneasy atmosphere and tone. This movie just has this like slow, creepy like vibe to it that really gets under your skin. And the fact that it's in black and white from 1962 and it's played so straight in such a way that it really is very unsettling. So if I've never seen the remake. I'm very curious to see the remake. I should watch that. But if you've never seen the original 1962 Carnival of Souls film and you're in the mood for a slow, black and white older horror film that's just going to get under your skin, check this one out. All right, I have 2 honorable mentions before I get into my number 1 underrated horror film on HBO Max. And the first honorable mention is The Visit from M. Night Shyamalan. This is a solid little horror film with a really cool little twist. I think it's a great M. Night Shyamalan horror film. I understand why people don't really love it. It's found footage, and it's a different take for him. And M. Night Shyamalan's so up and down. But this was a solid little comeback for him when he was just kind of like really on the outskirts, after Earth and like whatever, you know, after he kind of really dug his name down deep. I think this was a perfect comeback for him to come and do something different. And it's a good little film. I think it works. I think it's funny and it's creepy and it's got a nice twist at the end of it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. All right, my second honorable mention is not a horror film. It's not by any means. The poster might make you think it's a horror film. The title might make you think it's a horror film. It's in the horror section on HBO Max, okay? It is in the horror section, and that's why I'm going to throw it on this list as an honorable mention. It is a ghost story from 2017. This is a drama with horror elements. There are elements thrown in there, but it's not a horror film. Don't expect it to be. It's this very slow film, very intentionally paced, artsy film. Don't watch this expecting it to be a haunting of a ghost story or something like that. It's not at all. It's not anything like that, but it's a beautiful film. Absolutely gorgeously shot film. Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara, beautiful story here. Just, again, absolutely amazingly shot. And if you think that you might enjoy just a gorgeous cinematography, very slow pacing, and a really interesting, thought-provoking, conceptual film, I would highly recommend giving this one a try. This is not for everybody. And again, this is not a horror film, like in the terms of, really in any terms, but there are, like I said, there are elements, like pieces, but it's not a horror movie. So don't go expecting that. It's very, very slow, very slowly paced. But if that sounds just interesting to you and you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. It is a good film, but again, know what you're getting in for. All right, coming in at number one, the most underrated horror film on HBO Max right now, in my opinion, is the 2015 film Insidious Chapter 3. Yes, the third chapter in the Insidious franchise. I think people forgot that this movie is great. Genuinely, people just like skip over it. I talk to people and they're like, oh, the third one? Yeah, I don't know. I never liked the second one. You know, fourth one's okay. The third one is great. This is Leigh Whannell's directorial debut, taking over the franchise from James Wan after they worked hand in hand together, writer-director, and this is a different story. We're getting obviously some of the same characters back, but this is the one that's it takes us on a different side story, and this one is so interesting because you can really feel Leigh Whannell's style develop in this film, and I was really worried when I saw the trailer and some of the scares and things like that he was, you know, some of the camera work and things like that, I was like gonna miss James Wan so much. I think that Leigh Whannell really made it his own. I love the story that's being told here about the girl who is stuck in bed, so creepy in this, you know, like apartment complex with this floor that's abandoned. Again, you get like an abandoned floor upstairs and this like creepy, unnerving family dynamic, and this being isolated and helpless, like girl, and just great acting. I love the scares here, I think are really, really well done. I love like the characters, I guess, that they write with the mask, with the breathing. And I just think that Leigh Whannell, again, it feels different than James Wan, but he really made it his own. He really brought his own style into it. And I think he could have easily tried to copy somebody else or copy James Wan. He carries the concept over and really makes it his own. And if you haven't seen this or you saw it and you checked it off, go watch it again. This is a great, very creepy Insidious sequel. And I think just a lot of people forgot how good this is. I forgot to mention that this is a prequel to the first two films. That's how you get some of the same characters like Lynn Shape, but it doesn't really feel like a prequel to me. It definitely feels much more like its own story, separated from the other films. Of course, you have the characters that shouldn't be there because it's a prequel, but don't let that put you off if you haven't seen this and you're like, oh, prequels, I don't want to watch that. It doesn't really function as a prequel. Like, again, it does in pieces, but it's its own story and it functions as its own story, and it's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's my list. Let me know down below which one you're going to check out. And if you've seen them, which was your favorite on the list? I really appreciate you watching.
I
Take
don't
care.
wanna scared, I'm a big bad wolf. I never see the silver lining, only see the gold. I don't speak in caps, dog, everything bold. And I put that on myself, cause it's a life that I done chose. I said come through, you can see me on the west side. Now it's funny how they walking with each chest.